formed that bubble while that bubble is still rigid.
现在很重要，这个气泡虽然是硬，它确保外面的玻璃都是对称正中，所以很重要，看它转动。
Generally, the tools we use to do that are called blocks. These are cherry wood scoops that have been soaking in tap water.
除了转动均匀，它用樱桃木头做的勺子来帮助它。
Now, in this area, there is a lot of cherry wood, but fruit woods all work really well for this. They all burn very slowly, and they all burn away very clean, leaving no residue on the glass if you don't overuse them.
那为什么喜欢用樱桃木？其实果树木都很理想，因为这附近很多的樱桃木制作玻璃，它理想的是因为它的质地细、保水性高。
Even a byproduct of wood is very helpful in the glass studio, like this item made up of folded up newspaper that's been soaked in water.
真的呢，这个也是木头做的啥？报纸啊，报纸工具。
The very important thing when you make a newspaper tool is that you use more than one sheet of paper.
不是说千万不要用一张啊，手烫，这是7、8张折叠起来的。
Now, as the glass is losing temperature, it does start to harden, and it pretty much turns rock solid around 1,000 degrees. So we have a secondary oven that's used for reheating.
别忘了，这一到华氏1000度、摄氏500度就这么硬，所以右边这个加温回火炉就很重要啦。
When she goes up there and steps on the floor pad, it trips the cameras behind that oven to look into it. There's a very small window like this of fused silica glass that shields the camera.
Chris 手中拿的这就是世界闻名的超级人工全规划玻璃，在右边的加温回火炉后面保护着摄影机，所以你才看到摄影这个加温回火炉里面的情况。这个镜头就康宁玻璃锅外你看得到。
Fused silica was engineered here in Corning in the very early 1900s. It's got an extremely high melting temperature. It was also applied to NASA's space shuttle program for use in the windshield.
是的，这个超级人工全规划玻璃是康宁1934年发明的，能耐华是3300度高温，所以直到今天，太空船上的窗户和光纤一直在用它哦。
So Katie starts to inflate this bubble a little bit larger, and at this temperature, glass expands very easily. She only blows gentle breaths of air into that blowpipe.
Katie 呀，吹的时候是轻轻的吹，像吹蜡烛气球那么轻，这样子就能控制玻璃的厚薄和对称性的。
I think one of the hardest things in glass making is turning the blowpipe. And after a few years of training, you develop muscle memory that really helps out. But it does take a while to get there.
这个镜头就康宁玻璃锅外看得到，大家多看一眼，就是因为刚才讲的超级人工全规划玻璃的缘故。
It's very, very similar to learning how to play a musical instrument.
所以我们均匀转动功夫你别小看，就像我们乐器操作，你均匀才能控制住玻璃，最重要就是均匀转动，抗拒阻力呀。
We've seen Katie start squeezing in and reiterating a constriction right next to the head of the blowpipe. That's something we do on every piece of glass we create, and it gives us a weak area where we can easily and safely break the bubble free.
好，现在 Katie 用钢夹夹出这个环状很重要，这位于玻璃的嘴巴、口部。
Now, usually in a blown form, we inflate to the volume that we're looking for or the size, and then we work the bottom of the piece. Once the bottom's complete, we transfer it to a punty so we can work on the opening.
为什么这个环状很重要？因为所有制作玻璃啊，都从底部做起，再做起嘴巴，所以待会啊，我们在这个环状里面切下来就有危险性哦，所以这小环状很重要的。
So for this piece, Katie actually wants to add some glass for a foot for the bottom of the piece.
请注意 ，Chris 一直转动抗拒重力，如果 Chris 一停下来，我们 Katie 的玻璃就啪掉在上面，赶快照相，高举钢管正中垂钓，赶快照。
So we get a nice fresh gather dripped right onto the tip of the bubble. She'll shake that up, and once that's complete, you'll see me create a punty, a handle that will attach to the foot so we can hold on to this bubble from the bottom side.
Katie 现在用的石墨板来把底部打平，我们加一块玻璃做底，是雕塑玻璃技术。
And working together to shape the profile of that foot from 2 different edges just gives us the ability to really square that edge off nicely.
现在 Katie 为什么回炉？因为她晓得它的白色已经出来了，接近华氏900度。若再往下调温度，玻璃在900度以下华氏就会破，赶快回炉防止破裂。
The punty is just a little bit of glass that I'm going to shape up on this solid rod. We'll use this to attach to the foot. We want this to be temporary though, so I need to bring this to the right shape and the right heat.
Chris 告诉我们，他想要做转接这个粘连的钢管，粘连的地方必须完美滑是1300度，所以是最危险的一刻，因为它温度如不对话，我们就接不住切下来的玻璃了。
So unlike the foot, which we dripped on fresh from the furnace, we don't want this to fuse permanently. So getting this to a pointed shape and a little bit of a lower temperature will allow it to stick without bonding for good.
所以滑1300度的完美要求很重要。低了接不住切下来的玻璃，但是太高也不行，粘死了最后拿不下来，整个底要脱掉就没底了。
This is one of the more challenging parts of the process. This is where beginners tend to struggle the most. Not just for the punty, but that bubble. If she has mistimed this and she has the wrong heat, that bubble can literally shatter into pieces when we break it free.
好，如果这个整个主体温度太低，也会这个破裂。
Perfect transfer. Let's give her a big round of applause for that. That is not easy to do.
是的，我们的观众实在是内行，都晓得要拍掌，是因为初学4到6年，刚才的转接成功几率只有多少啊？50%而已。
A good time to take a look up on the screens. You can see that does produce the opening, which at the moment is very small, but you'll start to reheat, re-soften the glass, and then we can start to change that into the final shape.
还没完，到最后要能够成功拿下来不脱底，才叫成功完美温度。如果是的话，它会留下一个手工玻璃的标记哟。
Now, if our glass loses temperature below 900 degrees too rapidly, it can actually crack or shatter from thermal shock. We need to slowly cool everything we make when we're all done making something.
Sorry. 好 ，Thank you。好，那最后留下了一个疤啊，在底下。就是手工玻璃的标记，因为机器做的，不用转接，机器做就没有这个标记，我们叫它玻璃的肚脐眼。
We can't let it drop below 900 Fahrenheit. That's the stress line for this type of glass. And that's why that transfer is so challenging. Because you can't have the glass too hot, but you can't have it too cold. You gotta be right in the right spot.
所以以后你翻个个儿来，底部如果有个疤，就告诉你它一定是手工制作，机器没有的。
And you learn the rhythm of glass making and develop an internal timer for the material with training. Keep in mind that Katie's been blowing glass for about 7 years.
我们现在看 Katie 呢，哎呀，好像制作玻璃很容易，难，起码4到6年成为入门师傅的。
Sometimes we like to add little details to decorate an object. In this case, we're going to take some of this reddish amethyst glass. We're going to spool it around that bubble.
现在 Chris 上了紫色的彩色玻璃，我们要在外面绕圈圈做装饰。所有这些圈圈呢，你如果看到，一定是手工玻璃，因为机器做不到。
This is a lot of fun to watch, and you might find it very surprising how stretchable glass can be.
要照相的你赶快照或赶快录，因为要展现玻璃的延展特性，非常好看。
But just a little bit of material, when hot enough, will go a very long distance.
哇，它可以拉到3层楼高的话，可以拖像头发丝那么细哦。
What do you guys think?
怎么样？没有时间鼓掌，再照相。
Now, if that's something that interests you, you might be very interested to check out our fiber optics exhibit, which is right here in the Innovation Center.
谢谢黄观众讲的英文很美啊，谢谢你，因为你们的忙着照相，哪有余地来拍照呢？感谢你啊，这个很漂亮的丝啊。
So she continues to reheat, re-soften the glass, and she'll open this up quite a bit further. And when the glass has gotten thinned like this from inflating it quite a ways, it starts to lose its heat and workability much more rapidly than it did earlier on, and there was more thermal mass.
各位，我赶快讲颜色，因为华人最喜欢听颜色的啊。刚才我们的那个白色是锡混气产生白色，而这紫色是什么？是那个氧化锰，这个是最贵的玻璃颜色。我刚刚马上告诉你，这是最贵的玻璃颜色。
But we know what we're going to create before we even pick up the blow pipe, and she knows every step along the process, and she works very efficiently to go through those steps as quickly as she can.
因为红宝石颜色或粉色，它是黄金、金子、氯化金产生这种粉色红宝石颜色啊。
She's making a very special type of bowl, and I don't want to ruin the surprise, but Glassmakers love to use gravity as well as rotation to their advantage whenever they can. And for this particular piece, you're going to see both of those come into play at the end.
各位 ，Katie 为您做的是什么碗？当然碗有各式各样。今天他最后会给你惊喜，他会用快速旋转的离心力，这个玻璃在口沿很热很软的地方，就用大手把撑开，下垂利用重力产生花形，就是碗的制作。盯紧的荧光幕就来了。
And that final transformation is about to take place. I believe this will be your final reheat. So you want to pay very close attention to this.
盯紧的荧光幕，盯紧的 Katie， 当它快速旋转的时候，玻璃像大手把撑开，看。
Again, going all the way in that oven for a very deep reheat. We call it a flash heat, and that's a maintenance heat to make sure the bottom of the piece stays above that critical 900 degrees.
是的，Chris 特别提醒 Katie 要小心温度，尤其是在底部。哦，来了。
Look at this. So first she opens it up like a plate, but then using that gravity to achieve this really nice ruffled edge. What do you guys think?
照到了没有？哎呀，你看你照到了。
They like that, Katie. Can you do that again? One more time.
Katie 再做一次，很多人错过。
All right, so she's going to weaken that punning connection. We do have to get this off from that handle and into our annealing oven, where it will slowly cool over 8 hours' time.
好，降温退火必须，否则掉了900度要破。所有玻璃4000年以来都要降温退火，华氏1000多道室温一步一步降温，明天再全部取出来。
Dripping water just on the punty to crack that connection.
是的，平安接下带着肚脐眼。
So we like to fire polish the punty mark because when it breaks free, it does leave a sharp little ring. But we'll quickly get this piece into our annealing oven where tomorrow morning we'll mold out and take a nice close look.
明天才看得到喽。
Let's give it up another big round of applause for your gaffer. That's Katie. Nice job.
Katie Hobbs 还有 Chris 笑。
All right.
哎，别走。
Everybody here should have gotten one of those little white raffle tickets on the way in. Go ahead and pull those out because we're going to have a lucky giveaway.
好，每个人进来拿了一张票啊，我们要叫出你的另外一半，因为它是2张1对儿的啊。
So for a bowl very similar to the one that Katie just made.
哎，无价之宝非卖品啊，你买不到，我们也不能卖。哎 ，OK，sorry。
Okay. Now, Xiaoying,
Yes,
I'm going to start to read off all the numbers because
Oh,
last
good.
time I only read the last 3
Yeah.
numbers and we had some differences in there.
Really?
So let's read off
Okay.
all the numbers on the winning ticket.
OK，Chris， 念出所有的号码啊，你手上的号码来。
The first 3 are 2, 6, 1.
261
The last 3 are 0,
0
8,
8
5.
5。
Right here in the middle.
Good.
Congratulations. Stay where you are. Katie's going to toss this right up to you.
你在那边还丢下去给你。哇，
That'll wrap up this demonstration. We have a lot more glassmaking happening all throughout the museum. We're going to head on down to our amphitheater hot shop, which is on the other side of Contemporary Art and Design Gallery. That's where the next demonstrations will be. 12:20 is the next show. But enjoy your visit. We are open till 5. Thank you so much for listening.